also were at on June the 12th, it says this: Mr. President and fellow board members, I appreciate the time and work the 3 board members have done to forward the election process of the Cumberland Cove POA and those chosen by the 3 board members. I'm concerned that the president, who claims to not involve those who are up for election for the year of 2015, has a meeting with 3 board members and appoints them as a committee. The president himself is up for election, but continues to put his hands into the election process. All the board members of Cumberland Cove POA residents should have been notified of this meeting. It is because of this process and not the outcome that I must vote no. I believe that the president calling a private meeting with 3 board members and the sole appointment of any committee is a violation of the covenants and state law. Additionally, there are no minutes to this meeting, only a notification to the rest of the board members that this meeting took place. Don Ham.
And I think you just answered the question.
No, I didn't.
You did. The president.
I'm asking for cite a specific violation that's in the covenants. I want to know the number and what it is. Cite it, please.
I don't have a number, but I will explain to you that it is a violation that the president has a private meeting with the
Not
board.
of the covenants, sir. Not of the covenants.
Excuse me. Are you going to allow me to answer, or are you going to continue?
I'm just trying to let you know.
Okay. Would you like me to answer now?
Go for it.
Thank you. The president, nor any one of us, can hold a board meeting without minutes. A meeting was held which was in violation of the covenants. What the number is, I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. But you don't hold board meetings with private people or board members when there's not a quorum there. There were no minutes taken during that. And yes, he was up for election if he chose to be an elected candidate. He obviously didn't choose to do that. But for a board member, any board member or a president, to hold a private meeting to accommodate themselves, no one else on that board was notified other than the 3 people who were elected last year. One wasn't available. He was, I guess, at a meeting in Nashville. But the other members, Pat, myself, I'm trying to think who else. Oh, and anyone who wasn't one of the officers was, or it was the people who were elected last year in a private meeting, put together a trio of people to pick the election committee. And when they did that, my feeling was he's in violation because you can't hold a meeting without minutes. It's in violation of Robert's rules, am I right? You can hold meetings. He did that, and to me that was a bad choice. Very bad choice. He should have let all the board members know. And I will tell you this, as I said in the meeting, it was a very good idea, but unfortunately the communication effort didn't exist other than the 3 people that served his duty. And yes, he was up for election should he have chosen to run.
Again, I submit to you, sir, that the covenants are one issue in a document within this organization. The bylaws are another. And I believe that unfortunately for you, you do not know the difference between the 2. So I submit to you that in this case, you have lied because there's nothing in the covenants that state that. So President, and you owe him an apology.
You're not a candidate, sit down.
Exactly.
I have the floor at the moment, sir.
Well, who are you?
As I told you, sir, I don't know the specific section. Had I known this question was coming, I would have certainly prepared for it tonight.
You put that in writing on the 12th of June. If you put something in writing like that, you should have documentation to back it up.
Okay.
You don't.
Let's back off on that. Gail?
Hi, my name is Gail. My name is Gail Haggard, and my question is.
Can we thank you. Gail, go ahead.
My question is for Harris. Okay, Harris, currently we have no bylaw that tells us how we are supposed to handle our reserve fund. So from board to board, that fund either gets increased or decreased or whatever. the current standard for establishing a reserve fund does not meet the standard for the National Reserve Study Standards. It's based on depreciation, accounting depreciation, which is not an industry standard. The Association of Reserve Analysts have put together 100-plus companies, and they have set up standards for establishing your reserve. Now, if it were brought to your attention, Harris, that what we're doing and the way we've set up this reserve does not meet industry standards, would you be willing to listen and accept any changes presented to you by the Budget Committee?
Okay, number one, there's no state law. There's no state law that says those standards apply in the state of Tennessee. The attorneys that we use, the code, and the accountants, and the auditors have said that what we are doing is appropriate. The board voted on it and said this is the way it's going to be. And whatever these standards are, I don't care about them. I care what the attorneys say and what the auditors say and the accountants say. They act for us, we pay for them, we get information from them, and they advise us, and we need to accept it. I'm not an attorney. If the attorney tells me, hey, Harris, it's appropriate to do it the way you're doing it, or we're doing it, I'm going with the attorney.
Okay, just let me point out that attorneys and accountants are not reserve study analysts, okay? That is not their trade, that is not their field. And I think for us to close our mind and not be opened up to looking at what all other associations establish their reserve by, there are over 100 companies nationwide that go out to associations like ours, and they abide by the National Reserve Study Standards. Why would that make it, why would we be different than that? Or would you not be open to at least looking at it, Harris?
Oh, we have looked at it, and the board has voted, and once the board votes, that's the way it is. And we're hungry.
Okay, so in other words, you're not open to
No, I'm
looking
not.
at.
I have talked to the attorney.
How about you, Pat?
Oh, I'm very open to every.
How about you, Terry?
Absolutely.
Don?
Certainly.
Addie? Perez?
I think I said that in my statement, that it's one of the things that we need is an in-depth reserve study.
Elton?
The reserve study experts that you're talking about, are they company oriented? Are they nonprofit organizations?
They are
oriented?
self-governed organization. They're the Association of Professional Reserve
No.
Analysts.
When they're giving advice, are they giving advice to industry? Or are they giving advice to nonprofit organizations?
They're both. In other words, what it is a self-governed organization of professional reserve analysts, okay? And what they have done is came together in 1995 and said, we need to have standards for how we set up reserves for associations like condos, homeowners associations, and those standards need to be consistent across the country and the world.
I don't imagine that there's any motivation behind your question, except that you're thinking that we are somehow not following the rule? Or do you have some other reason for asking that question?
The reason I'm asking the question is because I have sent a lot of documentation to all the board members on reserve studies. And over the last year, a lot of it. So I think that what we need to do is at least look at it. We have a company that gave us information on reserve studies and how they're put together. And we chose not to listen to it.
We just had an audit, okay? And the auditor looked at all this stuff, and he said we were doing